Up next on the MARR Army Rock Show, making her first appearance on the Rock Show, we have got Alora of Alora, a Texas band. They've got a new single, Elevated, out. Alora, welcome to the show.
Hi, it's nice to be here.
So, good to meet you for the first time. Now, I want to learn a little bit about you. Now, your bio calls you a country girl who likes to rock and roll. Why don't you give us a little of your history and your musical background up to this point?
Well, I grew up in a little town called Poetry, so I guess it was just fate that I decided to become a musician. I grew up on a little ranch out there, used to show horses, and when I was about 10 or 11, I started doing karaoke and kind of realized that, I really loved singing. I loved I guess when I was a kid, being the center of attention in a bar, being like a 11, 12-year-old girl singing like, girls just want to have fun in a karaoke bar. But as I got older, it stuck with me. And so when I was about 14, I started going to a music school, and 15 years old, got my first band. And ever since, it's been the path I've been going down.
Now, that's awesome. That not a lot of people can make that jump from karaoke to doing professional
definitely.
music.
I have to thank my parents for that. They definitely wouldn't be doing that if it weren't for my parents' support.
So, Elevated is out right now. Why don't you give us a little bit of the story behind the writing of that song and what that song's about?
Yeah, well, that song was the first song I ever wrote in Nashville. I was actually 16 when I wrote that. I had just gotten out of my first relationship with a boy, and I was really mad. I was just a really angsty teenager who wanted to write about it. My first co-write I ever did in Nashville, 4 years ago. I was visiting, came up with my parents to meet with my manager and do some writes, and that was just the first thing that was on my mind because I was just really angry about it. Thinking back, it's kind of funny, but my first boyfriend broke up with me, and I was just so mad. So I was like, I'm gonna write a song about it so he knows I'm bad. Everyone knows I'm bad. It's a little more comical than I think a breakup song should be, but that was because angsty 16-year-old writing about an ex.
So, tell us a little bit about some of the musicians we hear playing along with you. Introduce us, if you will, to the others that make music along with you.
Well, when I'm out on tour, I have a different band than who recorded with me. They're my favorite people to play with. Right now we tour with I guess it would be a 4-piece band, so we've got drums, bass, guitar, so you're going to hear something a little bit different than, and then of course me on vocals, but you're going to hear something a little bit different than you hear on the recording, and it's actually kind of my favorite because I've had more time to really get into it. I feel like live is so much more fun than recording, but we've got Harrison Cofer plays guitar for me when we do live. He does all the backup vocals. He's an amazing guitarist, absolutely fantastic. We've got Christian Harrison, who plays bass for me. He's actually the guitarist for a little band called Jet Black Alley Cat that plays here in Nashville. They're fantastic as well, amazing guys. And then we've got we've got Caleb, who plays drums for me, and he's a really cool dude, same age as me, well, a little bit older because I'm 20. He's 21, but it's a really cool band setup we've got going on for live stuff. I'm not sure when we're touring again because of all of this, but hopefully here in the near future because those guys are way too much fun to play with and be on the road with. It's kind of like my second family.
Now, speaking of family, man, you got a tune out there called Mama Don't Make Me, so tell us a little bit more about that. Would that be an autobiographical tune, or is it just something you thought of?
Oh, it's definitely a little bit about my life, but I definitely was one of those kids that you had to fight with me every morning to get me to actually go to school. I never wanted to go. I still don't want to go. That's why I'm not going to college. But my mom every morning would have to argue with me to get me to go to school. And sometimes I won that fight. She was like, you know what? It's not worth it. You're staying home. Like it was a lot. And then obviously at 16 I actually stopped going to high school and homeschooled just because music was taking up so much of my time. Monday mornings were the worst to get me up because sometimes I had shows with my band on Sunday nights. So I'd get home late and then I'd have to get up at 7 a.m. to go to school because I had to drive like an hour to get to school every day when I was in high school.
Oh, wow.
So it was definitely a fight. And then eventually, at 16, I was like, hey, Mom, you know what? I just want to homeschool. So halfway through my sophomore year of high school, we just decided to homeschool it from then on.
So there's a music video for that song, Mama Don't Make Me. Tell us a little bit about the making of that music video.
It was wild. So this is the first time I've ever recorded a music video. This is the first album I've ever had out, and I've been doing this for years now. So my mom flew to Nashville to come see me so we could pack everything up that I needed. And then we hopped on a plane and flew out to Denver, Colorado. My manager had set up video recording there with some guys that he knew. And we recorded that entire video in one 24-hour period. We were in Denver for about 3 days. We flew in, woke up the next morning, went and recorded, went to bed at probably 2 or 3 a.m., got up the next morning at 8, got on a plane and went back to Nashville. So it was pretty awesome. I mean, it was a lot all at once, but it was really fun.
So you did something kind of different. I noticed when I was researching this, I watched a mashup video of Pussycat Dolls and Pat Benatar. Tell me about that thing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we try to do these every once in a while, just mashups, because I like doing covers, but I also I've always loved and adored mashups. So we started kind of doing this thing where we take, a new song that's just come out or something that's fresh on people's minds, and then taking something that's a little bit older, but everybody knows, and throwing those two together. So we end up with something pretty cool. The one that we did before that was Billie Eilish's Bad Guy and was Seven Nation Army by Seven Nation Army White Stripes. So it was a pretty fun thing to do, and I'm excited to be doing a couple of more of them in the future. But it's a pretty fun way to put my own spin on songs, and I love Pat Benatar, so I had to throw it in there.
So, what's up next musically for you? I know you just put out Elevated. Are you already looking ahead for the next single or an EP? What's up next for you?
Well, I've got a couple more songs still that are, haven't come out yet. I play them on tour, but we got a couple more songs that are recorded and ready to go. We're going to start releasing a couple more here pretty soon. We don't quite have a date for it yet, but there's a couple more all ready to come out after Elevated has a little bit more time to, for people to look at and check out. But it's pretty exciting. As soon as I'm able to, the moment that I can, I'm going back out on the road, hopefully, because I miss the life of living out of a van for a couple of months, surprisingly. It's weirdly fun. It sounds like a mess, and it kind of is, but it's just so much fun.
So where are you guys at with tour? I've interviewed so many bands, and everybody's just kind of, are we kind of on the cusp of maybe seeing some touring again, or where do you guys stand on that? Or do you think it's going to be a while yet?
I'm not quite sure with this whole quarantine and everything. We're kind of waiting till everything dies down and we're all kind of good to clear, because I don't want anyone to come out to see me live and, while this is going on and get sick from it, or I don't want to get sick from it. So we're kind of running on the air of caution. I actually had a tour I was supposed to be on. We hadn't confirmed right before all of this kind of happened that was going to be for 3 months. So luckily we didn't accept that. But it's hopefully as soon as, we've got the all clear and it seems like it's going to be, overall not a whole lot of risk of anybody getting sick, then we'll be able to go out again. But, we're just waiting until it feels like it's the right time to start looking. I'm hoping it'll be this year, but who knows? There's no real, it's the first time something like this has ever happened, so there's no guarantee.
Yeah. So I saw one of your posts you wrote. You wrote something to the effect that when you were 12 years old, my dad gave me a few classic rock records, and you said that would be one of the most important days of your life. But what I was wondering is, do you remember what some of those titles were?
Definitely.
So share it with us, yeah.
Well, the first one I ever played was Toto's first album. That was the very first one. And I played that thing front and back. It's actually a little bit scratched up now because I still have all of those records that he gave me because they don't have a record player. And he said, you know what, you can have them. And I to the dismay of my older sister who has a record player and really wanted them, I was still living with my parents, so I got them. But I played, the Toto record was the first one that I did. And then after that, it was just a lot of Styx and Aerosmith. Toys in the Attic was one of the songs that really stuck with me that I thought was just really freaking cool.
Yeah.
But those were the kind of things that I was listening to when I was like 13, 14 years old. So it was kind of what got me down the path of rock music anyways, because at that time I was singing, current pop of 2010. So kind of put me down the rock road.
Yeah, it's so interesting, as rock and roll goes these days, you're kind of young for the genre to be performing, so to speak. How did that play out in your high school days? Did people know or appreciate what you did, or did they understand it, or was it like under the radar, like people didn't know?
I mean, I talked about it all the time, but it was, high schoolers, they're just like, yeah, whatever, like, who cares, whatever. My choir teacher is amazing. She absolutely loved that I was doing it. She let me put up my band posters in the classroom for choir in the choir room. So you'd walk into the choir room and you'd see the posters for like a cappella choir or church choir, all this stuff, and then you would just see this like rock band poster like stapled to the board.
Nice.
So everybody kind of knew. I didn't carry a backpack in high school. I actually carried my 7/8 Taylor, and it has a little pouch on the front, so I would try to stuff all my books in there, and I would carry my guitar to school every day. So everyone kind of knew I was that music kid, but everyone was also like, she's kind of weird. That's kind of weird. Why would you take your guitar to school? But it was pretty interesting.
Well, we're glad you picked that genre. It's what we cover here, and it's the music we love. Now, what's the best thing we can do to support you guys right now? Is it streaming your music? Is it going to your pages? What are the things that help you all the most in these unusual times as a band or as an artist?
Definitely, checking out my music on, streaming it on Spotify or whatever you've got. So it should be on just about everything. But that and just kind of checking out my page. I try to reply to comments and kind of talk with people, because that's, I don't have a whole lot going on since I'm stuck at home. So I've got plenty of time during the day to kind of reach out and talk with people. So it gives me something to do. I'm lucky that my parents help support me. So during this time, I'm not struggling too bad, because my parents are there to help me out when money gets a little bit tight. But, streaming my music is always appreciated. Just reaching out on social media and like saying hi. It's also great because I like talking with people. I'm a talker.
Well, hey, from Poetry, Texas, we've had Alora here. The new single, Elevated, is out there. Alora, thanks for being here on the show. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.